is they say that you always try to chase that high and you can never get it. That's what it feels like when you start trading with your model. You know what you're looking for. And when it happens and it's like, bang, there it is. That power, that sense of accomplishment, the feeling of dialed in, you feel like your fucking net worth is $200 million all of a sudden. You just feel like you're minted. You're arrived, like you know exactly this is exactly what you were meant to feel like. Your whole life was for this moment. And it feels so good, it's intoxicating. And as soon as you feel it wearing off, which will be minutes, your natural impulses is the I want to go back and do that again. The move's already happened. So you have to put the gambler in the back seat and say, you don't get to drive. Take the keys away and keep the gambler from doing anything. You're not conversating with them. You're not having any discussions about anything emotional. You did what you did. You felt good about it. Now close your charts. Exercise discipline. Forge responsibility. That's hard. That is so hard. And I can't write chapters, not just chapter. I can't write a book entirely about that and still scratch the surface because it has to be experienced. You have to feel what that's like. Just like it feels different when you move into live fund trading, even if it's a small, minute, little bit amount of money. Your expectations on yourself and the elevated hopes for you surviving the live trade, let alone making money. Because when you first think you're going to get in there, it's like, okay, I'm going to push this trade. It might work. But in your mind, you're thinking, oh shit, this is probably going to fail. This is going to fail, man. I got to do it though. I got to get it out of the way. Let me just get in here and do it. You put the trade on, and as soon as you push the button, the weight of the world is on your neck. Now, mind you, you're trading very, very small leverage, probably the smallest. But it feels like your heart's going to stop. It feels like you can't breathe, like someone's holding you in a bear hug. Palm starts sweating, feel a little bit faint. And now you just want to close the trade, but you don't want to close the trade. But you do, but really you don't. And you're wrestling with that. And you just want to get out of it. You're up one tick, three ticks down below the dealing spread, up two ticks, three ticks, and you can't stand it anymore. Please, let me just get out of this trade. I just got to recuperate and just gather my thoughts. That's what it feels like when you put your first live trade on with real money. That's what it feels like. And some of you are going to be shocked when you feel that. And that's why you have to do it with very, very little money. And you have to talk to yourself and remind yourself, how did I do in the demo? What was I doing? What was I focusing on? And take your money out of the equation. Focus on price. That's the truth. That's the thing that you're supposed to do. But it won't feel like that's what you're supposed to do. You're going to be worrying about the money. You're going to be counting the ticks up and down. And the worst thing you can do is have that money tab showing you the profit and loss in your trade. That shouldn't even be on your chart. Put your trade on, put your limit and all that business on it, and then toggle that off. Then go back to watching price. The orders will be there. They're there to do their job. That's it. Let it go. You don't have any control. You can't steer price. You can't make it go there faster. You have to submit to that. And it's like a lifetime. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour feels like a lifetime. It feels like you gave up 5 of your life years in that trade. And as you do more of it and you trust your model, it feels like nothing. Like the live stream today, that I did with you, it literally felt like 15 minutes to me. It doesn't feel like a long time. Not that an hour or so was a long time. It's not, but it didn't feel like an hour to me. For some of you, probably was like, you could have made this shorter, but I wouldn't have been able to teach you everything I taught you in that live stream now, could I? So there's a lot of things that you're going to discover that are true about yourself and true about the markets and true about what it is that I'm teaching you. And those experiences are going to be uniquely personal to you, and how you deal with them, how you wrestle with them is all going to be an individual experience. Some of it's going to be positive, some of it's going to be negative, and you're going to learn from those things. And I can't write a book, no one else can write a book how to prepare for it, because everyone's going to deal with it differently. And you need to expect that adversity, excitement, that new level. But with a new level means there's a new boss to fight. There's a new devil to wrestle. New levels, new devils. And that's what it's like in this industry. Until you get to the point where you know yourself, you know your model, you know the market and the conditions that you like to operate in. And when those things are not in alignment, that's not an invitation for you, just simply because you have time, to turn the charts on and see what happens when you press the button. You don't need to know after you push the button what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. As soon as you push the button in those conditions where you know it's not likely for you to be trading that, it's not high probability, but you're bored. Somebody made you mad at work. You just got to have some kind of distraction. And if you win, even if it's $50, that's $50 you didn't have. And guess what? It feels good to be able to do that because I took something from somebody else. Because right now I'm pissed off. Right now I'm having a hard time. I'm stressing about something. And I just need to be able to feel good about myself. I have an accomplishment. Let me get out there and live stream. I'm going to show the world I'm an awesome trader. And you got there and you push the button and you wreck your ass. And you just compounded all that grief and you just brought witnesses into it. Well done. You played yourself. You know, once you know what you're doing, you know that that outcome is going to be unfavorable. So you don't do it. You don't trade to see what's going to happen. You don't push the button to find out what's going to happen. You don't trade and push a button just to see if you can feel better about yourself. Your trades are not to make yourself better. Your trades are there to make fucking money. That's it. That's the only reason why you're doing this. It's not to impress Carl. It's not to impress your spouse. It's not to impress your friends. It's not to make yourself feel like you're accomplished. It's a derivative. You're doing this to make money. If any time you feel the impulse to push the button because you need to feel better about yourself, you want to push the button to distract yourself from something someone said about you on social media, you feel bored, nothing else to do. Let me just get in here and trade Asia. You don't ever trade Asia. Never even came up in your model. You know what? It might, if I get three handles, it's $150 per contract, and my funded account says I can trade this many contracts. So let me just do 1/4 of that and just see, how I feel after I win. Well, you're inviting the very thing that you shouldn't be doing. Who's going to be there to stop you? I'm not going to be there. Your broker's not going to say, hey, you better not do that. You better not do that right now. Who's going to do it? Who's going to be the person that stands in the way and talks to you and reminds you that what you're doing is outside your model? It's just you. And you don't want to learn from bad experiences doing impulsive things that you're reckless. You don't want to discover that you're reckless by doing those things. You want to prevent the opportunity of discovering that you're reckless in those instances. Talking to yourself through your journal, referring to your journal, writing down what you intend to do that trading day. What? What did you say, Michael? Write down what I plan on doing today? I thought I was supposed to go and look for fair value gaps. Yeah, that's yeah, it's part of the anticipatory price skills that you're learning. Yeah, but it makes you much more accountable when you write down what you intend to do. I want to take a trade, like on Tuesday. I want to sell short a fair value gap after there's displacement lower, and I want to take profit at this level because there's sell side there. Write it out. You should have a notepad where you are trading. If you're walking around at work, at lunch, smoke breaks, or whatever, and you're doing everything from your phone, you're gambling. You need to have it written out. What's your plan of attack? Just like war, just like football. They have their playbook. Everything they're doing is a strategy that every player on that team understands what that play is. I sound like a football man, don't I? I don't know shit about that game. But I know this, they have a playbook, and the coaches say, play this. Quarterback tells the players, we're playing this. The stinky leg, run around so and so play. Whatever the hell it is. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. The flea flicker. I think that's something that's real. If it ain't, fuck it. But game plan is you write it out. If you write it out, chances are you're going to probably submit to it better than you just staring at the chart, impulsively reacting like retail. And if you write it out, you're more inclined to wait for the setup to form. But ICT, what happens if I'm watching? What did it say? You write it out, then you wait for it. But ICT, what if I'm looking? You write it out and you wait for it. Simple. Next to impossible for someone that's new, but it's simple. That's how you forge discipline. That's how you forge responsibility. That's how you plan your trade and trade your plan. In the beginning, you need to be diligent about it. But in the beginning, that's where everybody's reckless. It's like spring break and everybody brought kegs. Oh, it's time to get drunk. You can't operate like that. Not here. Not here. Not in this industry. You can't do that. It's unforgiving. Some of you are going through combines trying to get these funded account challenges passed. I placed a lot of emphasis on my son with this one. Like he didn't do any trades today. And I told him, I said, you can't do anything today. And I let him dabble with the demo. And I told him, I said, tell me what you think you're trying to do, and then you execute. He got all chopped up today. Okay. And that's fine. I mean, you have to see that. But he wanted to have a win in that combine. We had one day off this week, and I told him, I said, we're going to take another off today. Don't be trying to get that $9,000 right away. You don't need to do it. Just because it says you have to trade 5 days doesn't mean do it in 5 days or less. That's unrealistic. It's unrealistic for him. So to curb his impulsive desires, like I teach you, I said, here, let me reset the paper account. You try to do what you think you would do in that combine right now today. 8 trades, every single one of them dusted. Now, it's not because he should be profitable, because he doesn't know what he's doing. And truth be told, he's pushing the button, but daddy's telling him, do this, do that. I'm teaching him that very short time frame scalping model, but he's the one clicking the button. He discovered today what it felt like if he would have done it with that combine. At that combine, he would have lost his perfect no losing day, no losing trade. That's what I placed on him. I said, listen, you don't need to make a lot. It's real easy to make that $9,000, but you got to give yourself time. What happens if it takes you 2 weeks? Does it mean anything that, it took you 2 weeks versus what you thought 5 days meant? Like he thought 5 days, you got to do it in 5 days because it says you have to trade at least 5 days. So I told him, I said, don't do that. Don't worry about that. Think about what it's like where you work, because he works at a coffee shop. And if you don't know anything about me, I make my children work. It's work hardening. I could give them cash, but they're not learning. I did that with my oldest son, and he didn't appreciate it. He just wants more money. he wastes it on dumb shit and then says, Dad, I need help with something else, like my daughter. So I messed up with the two older ones. But the other ones, I'm making them work. And yeah, they work jobs that wouldn't be flashy. They're not college degree type white collar jobs. It's you're grunt working, you're working in a warehouse, Caleb. You're doing coffee shit and dealing with people cussing you out in the drive-through window, Cameron. And I want them to feel that. And I want them to feel like I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing this dumb shit. Not to hate other people and think that they're elite, but I want them to feel like I don't want to do this. And it's funny, my youngest son, he's in a hurry to work at a fucking Rita's Italian Ice. My youngest is very, very immature, way, way, way more immature than his age is. So his whole outlook on working is, you know, childlike. But Cameron and Caleb, when they see their trades in a demo, like when I'm telling them, look, this is not when you want to trade. And I tell them, go into your demo and paper trade and show me what you would have done. And you could just read it on their face. It's like, I mean, I'm glad it didn't happen, but you were right, Dad. And they don't like that. Like they don't like when dads write about it like that, because what they wanted was what? To go in there impulsively and do it and then look at me and say, see, you didn't want me to do it, but I did it. And that's what I'm wrestling with them. Like Cameron is very competitive. Like he's on sports games and um, like all these combat games and shit on Xbox Live. And he's a bit of a shit talker. Like he's very respectful in real world, but when he's up on Xbox Live, he's up there screaming and hollering like he's rowdy. He's really rowdy. So he's a bit of a hurry to get out here and start smacking assholes around on social media. So he's going to be a menace once I make him formidable. So he's going to be the one that runs around and gets in everybody's ass and stuff and show everybody what he's doing. He's in a hurry to do that. And I'm trying to wrestle that and wrangle that in him because it'll undo him. He's too motivated for all the wrong reasons. So today was a very sobering experiment for him. I said, I know what you want to do, and I understand why you're trying to do it. And I also understand that the young man in you, because you're all hopped up on testosterone and you're in your peak of rebellion, and you want to show dad that you can whip dad's ass and what I believe you're going to do and what you think you're going to do with this today. I'm telling you, just trust this. Do whatever you would do in that paper trading account, and we'll watch and see what happens. And it was very, very humbling for him today. And it was almost like, I wouldn't say his spirit was broken, but I would say that it was near heartbreaking for me as his dad, because it was like he wanted so badly to be able to say, I was able to do it even though you thought I couldn't, Dad. And I had to reserve a lot of the things that would otherwise be coaching. I wanted him to just experience that because I need him to feel the weight of that. Because unless you feel that, you won't be denying yourself that when you trade with your account. Because that feeling of, I want to prove something. Okay, prove you have self control and don't fucking gamble. How about that? Let's start there. But unfortunately, nobody thinks that way. I didn't think that way when I was 20 years old. I thought, I got to prove myself to everybody. I got to prove it. I got to constantly prove. And unfortunately, everybody that ever does that always does themselves in. It never works out like that. It's odd. It's just like, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy that you want to do something to elevate your perspective that other people have towards you. The the outward appearance that you have it all put together and you're it. Kid ego. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to be successful in wrangling this boy's. He's wild. Like he wants to literally come out here. He goes, Dad, I'm going to do this. I'm like, okay, I understand, but give me a chance to get you there. I want to watch you do it. Trust me, I want to see all that shit. But let me turn you into that first. And you just literally just started. Like it doesn't happen that quick. And today he had a real taste of humble pie today, and it was a good thing. But I hope he doesn't beat himself up too badly about it, because you know how it is when a young man. Like, think about it. You're 18 years old. You know, you think you know everything when you don't know shit. And he has an ego. Like he's really good at everything he does, whether it be the sports that he plays or the video games he's really good at. Like he tries to be the best, which is great. I love that. But Dad's dad, and I told him, I said, today is a day you don't touch the combine. You don't do any of that. You don't do nothing. You don't do anything outside of a paper trading account. But but nothing. This is what you do. Show me what you would do. In the first trade, he's sitting there. He's like, all right, all right. This is what you said it should do here. I said, I didn't say that today. I'm silent right now. You tell me what you would do, because you said you wanted to trade it. You tell me what you were going to do today. You're driving right now. You know the rules I've told you. What do you see? I'm not going to talk today. You're going to show me, because you said that you figured it out. You know what you're going to do today. You feel confident. Show me. Show me what that equates to when you push the button. Lose, lose, lose. And then I watch, he's like rolling his shoulders, he's pumping his shoulders, and he's like he's thinking, I'm gonna turn this around, and I'm gonna be able to shove this in Dad's face and say, now, I could just see it on his face. He wanted to do that, and I'm sitting back here trying not to show any kind of emotion. I don't want to, spur that type of shit on, and I also don't want to break his spirit. So I'm just letting him do it. And finally, the last one, he's like, all right, I can't do it today, Dad. He didn't say I was right, but he wouldn't make eye contact with me. And I told him, I said, son, listen, this is going to happen to you when you're trading with real money. And you have to know when not to do this. Everything you showed this morning was outward reasons to want to trade instead of taking the model. None of the times that you pushed the button was the model at all. You were manifesting your desire to prove to Dad that you could do it when I was saying don't. You were arm wrestling me. You have to refrain from that. I have students that did that in mentorship and then argue with me. It doesn't work when they were fading everything I said in commentary. Look what I'm doing in live streams. Fade that. Would you do well? Fuck no. And I had students in the 2016, 2017, and 2018 groups that consistently, contrarianly faded everything I said in Euro and cable, and then had the audacity to send me emails saying the shit doesn't work. I guess it doesn't work. I guess you aren't going to be successful when you're holding the chart upside down. And some of them, I have never been successful in making them understand what they're doing. I mean, how do you tell them? I think about that. Say you're the mentor. Like, how do you tell them in a way that is not derogatory? Because there was a few times I was like, "What the fuck's wrong with you? Like, do you not understand what you're doing is ass backwards? Like, I'm telling you, go north. You're running south. Twice the speed I told you to go north. You're running south." And then saying, "I'm not getting where I'm supposed to go. Like, I'm never arriving where you said I should be. Where the hell are you going? You're going the wrong direction. You're doing that." Well, Cameron had that experience this morning. And it sucks because you have to wrestle with that. He's walking around here today. Like it's like a chip on his shoulder. It's his youth. It's his male ball and chain. Pride. Pride. You want to show me. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that want to show ICT and they're wreck their ass on live streams. They wreck their ass in their results. And I didn't even mess with them. They brought it on themselves. And my own son tried it today. And all I'm trying to do is make him prepared. That's all I'm doing. I'm trying to prepare him. But he was adamant. I'm going to do it, Dad. I know I can do it, son. Today's not a day in the morning session. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. The rules I teach you. He wasn't trying to hear it. He's like, no, Dad, I think I'm going to. Okay. But you're not allowed to do that there. You're going to do it with this. Reset the paper trading account. I put one trade on so that way when I walk away, my trade's in there. He didn't reset it because he did that one time already on me. I said, let me see the history. All right, wait a minute, 1 second. 1 second. Let me see the history. You're not in a trade. And he had something that was not what I started the account with. I said, did you do something wrong? Yeah, I did some stupid shit. I said, well, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. The whole point is you got to show me what you're doing. I can't help you if you don't show me what you did wrong because I want to ask you what you saw there. What did you do wrong? Hiding the losing trades or the examples that you're trying to push the button on, hiding that from me is making it impossible for me to help you. Like I got to take you into that trade and say, what did you do? What did you see? And then I can show you where you did it wrong. But you're trying to put a blinder up. No, I don't want to look at that and I don't want to show Dad that. That's the whole reason why I reset the account. I do one trade. That means that that trade better fucking be there when I ask you to show me what you've done. And he tried it one time. It's shame. That's all it was. I mean, he's not trying to be sneaky about it. He just got reckless. Okay. It's good that you're doing it in a paper trading account like that, but don't hide it. And that's his lesson for all of you. Like, don't hide from those mistakes. Don't beat yourself up about them, which is what he was trying to do. He was trying to teach himself subconsciously to hide it, sweep it under the rug. And you have to learn from them. Don't hide from them. Embrace them. That's when you want to see yourself fail. In the beginning, when it's safe, where there's no money to lose, no mental baggage accumulated because of it. But when you start doing stuff like that, think about it, a paper trading account, and he's hiding it. You know that it's just stupid shit you used to do. Everybody's done it. Oh well, my next time I won't make these dumb decisions. Let me just reset the paper trading account, the demo account, and we'll focus on the wins. It's just much like what happens when people get these stupid trade ideas where they do 50 lots of gold when they're not really able to trade 50 lots. They wouldn't have the leverage to do it anyway. And they're doing 50 lots entry. 2 seconds later, they're buying it again, 50 lots, and they're doing again 50 lots. And they have a series of 12 to 15 50 lot entries where they're all off by 1 or 2 pips. And they show that on social media. They're all $90,000 plus wins, open profit on a demo account. And then they think that's going to be something for people to say, whoa, look at that. Wow. To me, when I see stuff like that, like, what are you trying to communicate there? Like, what made you feel that that was a good thing to put on the social media? because that looks like you have no idea what the hell you're doing. And that number, while it might be large, means absolutely nothing. It means nothing. It's not like you took an account and you parlayed 20, 30 trades up and you got that result after many different trades. You're just over leveraging something that you never would do with real money. And it's all these stupid little games that new traders do because you're trying to entertain yourself instead of saying, all right, this is what ICT or whoever you're learning from says I should be doing and practicing and studying. And I should be pressing into that and finding my entertainment and growth in that result, not silly shit, hiding from the losing trades, pretending that they didn't exist, only looking at the wins and over leveraging dumb shit to feel like you're doing something constructive. You're not. If you're over leveraging your demo, your paper trading account, just to run up a fake number, what are you doing? Oh, it's stupid. It's dumb. Getting in a demo account and practicing your entries, getting in there practicing so you can have very, very low drawdown, and then doing lots of sample sets like that, that's constructive use of a demo. Not over leveraging just to see what you can do with it, because it's not doing anything for you. You can't spend that money. You're wasting time that you could have been using for entry drills, getting in there, waiting for the market to trade into an order block, a fair value gap, and trying to nail the middle point, consequent encroachment of a fair value gap. That's a skill set that you should be practicing all the time on all time frames. If it stops you out or goes through the fair value gap, who cares? What you're doing is you're conditioning yourself to wait and watch for it to trade into that. And then when it does and it goes up and you're trying to trade into a sell side liquidity or something in discount, in other words, going short, and then you're watching price trade up into that fair value gap. Watch with your eyeball. When it hits the midpoint, you time it right then and there. Boom. That's a timing drill. And it's also, it completely desensitizes yourself to selling short in up moves because there's a lot of you that are going to be scared of doing that. Some of you are probably terrified right now. I just don't know if I can do that, man. Like, how do you know that it won't go through the fair value gap? Well, how do you know? It's because you've done it hundreds of times. You've conditioned yourself to see, oh, this is what it looks like. See, you all want to see the fair value gap work, but you don't want to practice when it trades into it. Even with a demo, it's like you're scared to get the results. Just like my son this morning. I made him do it right in front of me. It probably would have been a lot easier for him had he not done it right in front of me. But because I was watching, every losing trade felt like the weight of the world on his shoulders. Now, I'm not the kind of dad in this. I would never say, I told you so, you dumbass. Why didn't you listen to your dad? I would never do that. I don't want to do anything to steer him away from wanting to do this. I've been wanting all my children to do this. And now to see him want to do it, I want to make sure he does everything right. And I want to encourage him. I want to keep him going the right way. And, hopefully I'll be successful in that regard, but, that remains to be seen. But he's a human being just like you and I are, doing dumb things, playing stupid games and winning stupid prizes, right? But when you're 18 and you're a young male and an athlete, and typically, that's already enough to be an ego tripping maniac. But now you add to it that he's got my DNA in him and he wants to prove his dad that he's, capable. It's just a perfect recipe for him to just blow up. And I don't want him to do that. Like I'm very, very, very interested in making sure he does everything right. Because I know once he sees it's done correctly, he can do what he does at his coffee shop in one trade. What he would earn at the whole entire month at that shit show, he can do that in one trade. I want him to experience that. Because once that happens, the magic really begins. Because he'll be like, oh, hell no. No more video games. No more other dumb shit. I'm going to do this. Because then he'll want to take that skill set and show his friends that, look, this is what I'm able to do. His friends don't know he's doing any of that right now. Soccer team players, none of them know anything about it. They all know me and who I am, but they don't know that he's involved in it yet. And he wants to be able to say, this is what I was able to do. Boom. Because he wants to teach them. That's cool. But I want him to learn properly. And we all know what it's like when we first started doing this stuff. We did everything wrong. We made excuses for why we did it. Oh, it's harmless. It's only a demo. Who cares, right? But that's how it starts. That's how toxic thinking, that's how stupid, lazy, wasting time, dumb stuff, instead of going in there and doing laboratory experiments, timing, entries, trying to do entries with the least amount of drawdown, running out the, sell side, waiting for it when it's so obvious, when you still have 5 handles left. This is another exercise I like to do. Right before it runs out an old low, you are chasing price in this drill. You are doing that. But drop down into a 15-second chart and wait for price to run up into a volume imbalance or a premium fair value gap on a 15-second chart. Right before it goes to a new low to run out, like sell side, that is an exercise I like to do all the time. Like I do that many times while I'm actually talking to you, on Twitter. Like when I'm tweeting things, I'm doing a lot of exercises like that on a 5-second chart, a 15-second chart, and I'm using literally like a 15-minute higher low. It doesn't even have to be far away from wherever price is at. And I'm just trying to get like 3 handles, 4 handles, and then boom, there it is. If it allows that much range, there it is. And I show my son all the time, like this is it. Like literally, that's your whole week at this coffee shop right there, just like that. And literally in 3 minutes, that's your whole week dealing with that shit over there. And people talking to you like you're, subhuman over a fucking coffee. And these people are ignorant. You should hear some of the stories he talks about. And as much as I want him to be able to say, this is my last day, fuck all of you, I'm done. I ain't never gonna come back here again. I need him to experience that because it will motivate him to never want to ever do that shit ever again. That's what it was like for me when I was working all these fucking menial jobs, working for people that I knew. Just because you went to college, you're not even smart. You're a dumbass. Like you don't even know what you're doing as your own job. Like you don't even know how to do your job. I know your job, and you're the manager. And you're trying to tell me when I can have off, when I can do certain things. Nah, get the fuck out of here. I'm not going to be submissive to that. I'm going to change everything. They don't have that. He's having it now. He's learning that, and it's good for him to have that. It's good. It builds character. It's not, oh, you're letting your children do stupid shit. You're so rich, you should be doing that. Man, fuck off. When your kids get older and they are in a working age, if you give them all, which you don't have as money, but if you were able to give them money, you're not setting them up for anything for success. You're giving them money they didn't earn because I've watched this with my older two. They squandered it. They fucking wasted it. They blew it on dumb shit and then got into more debt. And then I had to bail them out. Credit card debt, couldn't make their car payment. Okay, there you go. Boom, there it is. I'm talking about my daughter because she had a car helped by her biological dad. I'm not her biological father. And she got herself in financial trouble. So I ended up giving her my first Highlander. We drove it down, gave it to her, and she has that now. But it was just very stressful. And when you start making a lot of money and you have children, if you end up having kids or if you have kids now, I have learned the hard way that just giving them money just makes it more stressful as a parent because they don't appreciate money because they didn't earn it. They didn't work for it. And they think that you're an ATM that all they got to do is say, daddy, and you bail them out. And I don't want to see them fail, obviously. But that part's hard. Having money doesn't really make things easier. It makes it harder as a parent, especially when your kids know that you have it and they know that you love them and you don't want to see them fail. That's going to be a deciding factor for some of you as traders too. That is an unfolding truth that you don't foresee right now, but you will encounter it if you have kids. And if you have lots of money that you've made from the markets, guess what? You're going to have that heartstring tugging on you too. You want to feel like you can remove them from the adversities that working with Carl does. You want to be able to tell them, go in there and tell them this is your last day and feel good about it and walk out. That's what you want to do as a parent. You want to free them from that stuff, empower them like that. But you aren't empowering them. What you're doing is you're creating, and I didn't see this in the beginning. Like I didn't expect to see this. But someone told me years ago this is what was going to happen, and it happened. I mean, they didn't appreciate it, and they wasted the money, and they're not any better off because of it. Yeah, they have vehicles, you know, they got out of debt because I bailed them out, but they are not equipped. You know, my oldest son doesn't want to spend time learning how to do this because he's bent out of shape about his money being tied up with the crypto bullshit. And my daughter just doesn't want to do it. And it frustrates me. I don't understand, why don't you want to do this? They seen Caleb do it. Cameron seen Caleb do it. So now he's motivated. He wants to do better than him, which is wonderful. I love that. And I know if Cameron does it, that will make my youngest want to do it. And hopefully my two older ones will be like, well, shit, we're older than them and they're doing better than us. But let us start doing it too. And that's my plan. That's what I'm hoping, that it's going to pan out like that. I don't know if it's going to. And they could still be, you know, how they are and not do anything, regardless of how successful the young ones get. But I'm literally ensuring that Cameron is successful. I want to see him be the monster he wants to be. I'm letting him be that. It's in his personality to do it anyway. I ain't going to stop him. I couldn't stop him because it's who he is. So if that's where he wants to go, and I want him to be a monster in this, he will be the right version of me when I was 20. I was, that's another discussion, but I believe that Cameron would, he's going to be the one that, he's the 2.0. That's the one. Caleb's just steady Eddie. He doesn't want to draw any special attention to himself. Cameron wants all of it. He wants all the smoke. He wants all of it, every bit of it. He's got a hit list of who he wants to go after and make look stupid and whatever. I told him, I said, when you start doing that, son, just understand that once you put that out there like that, that energy will come right back to you. And then you're going to be constantly having that kind of shit online. And that's what you want to do. You know, it's your life to spend it doing like that. But he goes, I don't care, Dad. This is what I want to do. I'm sick of this and sick of that. Okay, whatever. So the men understand. You're probably laughing and smiling like, yeah, I remember when it's like to be young too. But I don't want to see him do it for all the wrong reasons. Like I want him to feel like he's building a legacy for his children should he decide to. Let me tell you something real quick, as a side topic, since we're all friends here tonight hanging out. Where did that fuzzy thing come from? The My son Cameron has a girlfriend, and they've been dating for a number of years. And obviously, you know, teenagers being teenagers left an opportunity where things can happen. They've been happening for a while, obviously. And I and my wife found out last week that we were under the assumption that we were potentially grandparents, and we are not. But it was a big to do between his girlfriend's parents and Cameron, and it was a pretty heated thing. But I told my son, I said, now I realize that what's done is done, but do you have any idea how you've complicated everything for not only yourself, but your girlfriend and her parents? Because she's supposed to be starting college. She's graduating from school, going away, and my son's not going to college. He's learning this. So her parents have always been, you know, they're professionals, and they raised other children that are, one's a police officer that was in the military, one is a physician, and another one's a lawyer. So they're pretty respectable careers. And his girlfriend is going to school to be a veterinarian. If I'm being honest, I don't believe that that's what's going to happen. I just don't see it happening. Nothing to talk against her or anything like that, but I just don't see that happening. But they see how I am when they met me, and they see that we homeschool him. And it's just like, I think they look at him like they don't understand what we do. Like they have no idea what it is that we do. And that doesn't make sense to them. So they've always looked at him like he's not going to amount to anything. And that's why, another reason why dad's making sure he's going to be ridiculous, because maybe that's details I'm going to keep out. It's probably not good for me to talk about that now. I'll bring it up later on, promise, but not tonight. But I just want to make sure that he shows his girlfriend's parents that he'll make what they make in a year, in a week together. And he'll be able to do that consistently. So there won't be any need for concern for, you know, their kids being with someone that doesn't go to public school and doesn't go to college, because that's the route they put all their kids through. They went through that too, and okay, that's fine. But you're all working. You're going to work and being told when you can go home and when you can take a vacation, and this is the most you can make, and maybe you might get a raise. When you don't have to do that, who's really in a better position? And that's unfortunate. I think that was one of the things that I didn't like. And when I found out that we were potentially grandparents, I'm thinking to myself, shit, now we're chained to these people. Like, oh man. I mean, I love her. She's wonderful, but her parents, you just know as a parent, they see your son like he ain't good enough. Like that's the vibe I got. So I'm like, you know what? Listen, let me explain to you, Cameron, how this should never be a factor for you to worry about, because it wore on him in a little while. Hearing from her father, questioning like, what's he going to do with his life? Where is he going? Why didn't he finish school in a public school? And is he going to go to college? And what kind of degree is he going to get in? He's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what my dad does, and that's where I'm going to go in life. And when you don't understand what it is that we do, it doesn't make any sense, right? Like, do you ever try to explain to someone what you're trying to do or what you do? It doesn't make any sense to them. Like, what? How can you do that? Isn't it gambling? Like, how can you be consistently able to do that? Well, you're seeing how it's consistent, right? It starts by reading price action, which is how I teach. That's the mentor in me. That's how I teach my students to learn how to read price action consistently. And if you manage yourself and you're able to keep yourself composed well, using sound money management, then you stand the chance of being successful consistently. But all those factors need to come together. Like, you can't just have one piece of it. They all have to come together in a perfect, well, 100%, all factors moving in the same direction. So if I'm being honest with you, I wish I wouldn't have brought up the whole thing about about almost becoming a grandfather and all that other business. I know she doesn't listen to these things, and I know her parents don't listen to this either. But my wife and I have been dying to have a conversation with them, because they were very upset when they thought she was, and she's not. They've had multiple tests done. She's not. She's protected, and he was protected. But you just know, I mean, whoever marries my daughter isn't going to be good enough. I know that. But I'm also the same guy that Cameron's my son, and for another man, regardless of who his daughter is, for him to think he's not good enough pisses me off. I'm gonna be real honest with you. It pisses me off. So now I'm motivated to be like, you know what? I want you to earn enough money where when it comes time to when he asks you, you can say, listen, let me just show you, and we ain't got to have any conversation about it no more. And then boom, sit down and make what he makes in a year in a week. And then all the conversations are over. No ego. It just stomp that shit out immediately. But I didn't tell him like that. I'm talking like that because it's in me to get it out of me because I want to vent. I've been chewing on that shit for a week and it's pissing me off. Like I want to go over there and have a conversation with him and his wife and say, hey, look, what you said to Cameron and how you talked to him and stuff. I understand, but you knew this was going on too. And I don't know. Maybe this is a conversation. Like I said, I shouldn't be having these conversations, but maybe some of you all are loving this too. But it's just I'm a real person, and I have kids, I have things that's going on in the real world, like all of you. Okay. And it was weird to have that near miss. Or maybe it was not a near miss, but uh, a potential total trajectory change in my own personal life and my son's personal life and his girlfriend's life. They're too young for that. Way, way, way too young for that shit. And my wife would be spending all the money on everything for this kid. we would be wanting, well, not wanting, she'd be wanting to be buying everything and wanting the kid to be over here all the time. And it would just be a totally different experience here. And while I'm not against being a grandfather and I'm looking forward to it, I realize how ill prepared I am. I don't want to be one yet. So I might be 50, but I ain't papa that much. So anyway, I just feel like I've covered a lot of things tonight, hopefully that were useful to you. But the last part of this stuff, this is more of a personal thing to let me get it off my chest. And I appreciate you listening to it. If you ever had that experience where, maybe one of your children either got pregnant or got themselves in a situation where they got their girlfriend in trouble and it was dramatic for you, give me a heads up on Twitter. Let me know about it because I never contemplated what it would feel like. Like I thought it was like years away, even with my older kids. But if it's going to be anybody that does it, it's going to be Cameron. Like he is a young me all over again, but much more respectful. And I wasn't respectful when I was younger. When I was learning all this stuff, I was very stupidly arrogant. And I'm trying very careful not to do those things. And it may not sound like that's what I'm doing because I said I'm going to teach him how to do this. And then if his girlfriend's asking or parents ask, how are you able to live and what are you doing? Like, look at it this way. Okay. Um, Caleb was able to show like $2,200 in 3 days, doing very, very little with the same model too. Just a little bit. Now I know that's more money than Cameron's girlfriend's parents make together a week. I know that. Her father's an electrician and her mother is a nurse, a hospice nurse. And just in 3 days, that's enough money right there to say that, look, if I just did the next 2 days, I'm I'm killing what you both do. And if Cameron can duplicate that And if that's all he ever amounts to be able to do, he's still winning. And that's where I'm pushing his attention, because sitting down telling him like, hey, look, you can parlay this up into this. I'd be feeding him all the wrong motivation. So what I'm telling him to do is focus on trying to make 6 figures a year. If you just focus on 6 figures a year after taxation, it's still comfortable living. You're doing better than the average person in America. It's way above the median income. And you have all the time to do whatever you want to do. If you want to make it bigger, you can do that. If you want to just live there and not do anything more than that, and you're comfortable with that, and that's all you want to put into it, that's fine too. I'm not going to worry about you. And that's all I want to be able to do, is lay my head down at night and know that my kids are not going to have to lean on me to bail them out because something bad's coming in the future, the economic, upheaval and all kinds of other dumb stuff that everybody else is worrying about. And I'm trying to prepare all of you to be resilient from falling victim to. I'm trying to do that with all my kids. And my two older ones are just not falling in line with it. It doesn't make any sense to me. One's depressed because he's got his money tied up, and I have the money to replace that. But he has not changed his perspective on crypto. If he had more money, he'd pour more money into it, he said. And to me, I know I'm not going to give him money because that's what he's going to do with it. So that's the reason why I don't bail him out. So I keep him in that. He's paying credit card payments on the money he borrowed that he put into that shit that he's locked up in. He can't get his money out of it. So what is a mentor to do? What is an ICT to do in this condition, or this situation rather? Just like the rest of y'all. I got kids and I got a family, and I'm trying to make the best of it. And you might have the answers, but if your kids don't want to listen, what are you going to do? You can't make them do it. They're going to do it or they're not going to do it. And when they're adults, they have the ability to say, hey, Dad, I appreciate you, but no. And I don't like hearing them be able to tell me as an adult, no. I'm used to hearing them say, yeah, Dad, okay, I'll take care of it. Thank you. Now they're adults and they can tell me, no, Dad, I'm not doing that. So I counter that in chess by telling them, then stay where you're at financially, because I'm not going to change it for you. And admittedly, Cody had a little case of the ass for a little while, and we didn't talk for a couple months because his idea was, you should give it to me because you have it. And I told him, you shouldn't have got yourself in that situation because I told you that's what was going to happen. And if I bail him out of that and he doesn't feel the pain of it, he's already told me, if I give him more money, he's just going to pour more money into crypto. That's not what I want to do. I want him to learn how to trade something outside of crypto. And he ain't trying to do it. Why? Because he's depressed. He's depressed about the whole situation. And a girlfriend of his, and they broke up, and it's weighing on him. And when I talk to you all about how, when you have issues in your personal life and you have a separation or a breakup or a divorce, or you lose a spouse or lose a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a child, something traumatic happens, you can't take that into the marketplace. And I taught on that because I saw that in my son, Cody, when he and his long-term girlfriend separated. And then she got with someone that was really well-to-do, had his life together, house and everything, and a police officer, and they already have 3 kids real quick. I think it hurt him. And since then, he's been depressed. And it's just, it's a physical depression. It's not like, yeah, well, I just don't feel up to it. Like, you can see he's feeling it. I think he knows he let her go. And it was a matter of him pushing her away. And he doesn't show any signs of being able to cope with that. I mean, he's dated other girls since then, but you can see he's made financial decisions trying to do what? Cope. Replace that depression with winning, and by betting on stupid shit, and it didn't pan out. So when I was teaching to you, how that is an issue. I was reaching into my own personal family and Cody's experience. Now, Cody's not aware of it. He doesn't know that I'm talking about it, but it's helpful to all of you. And it's also therapy for me because I know I have to stick to my resolve about this because he's not in the proper state of mind that me throwing more money at him is not going to fix it because he's not going to do the right things with it. So I let him stay right in this position right now. So that way, because he's already talking to me. He's like, Dad, I want to make some changes and this, that, and the other thing. He's coming around, which is what's required. Everybody has debt. You have debt. You got credit cards. You have a mortgage. You have car notes. You got to pay for things. That's the way the world is. And by sparing my kids any of that, am I really teaching them anything? Fuck no. I'm messing them all up. That's how I got Cody in that situation, by throwing money at him. Oh, well, Dad's got me. I ain't got to worry about shit. Let me just do stupid stuff. Well, there you go. And I regret it. I wish I could go back and change it and never have done it. And then add that to a young man having a long term relationship and it fails because of his own actions. And then feeling like he gave the best thing in his relationship life, that life partner that could have been with him still, he let it go. And I think it eats him up. Like, it's bad. He can't fix that. And when depression hits you and it's physical, it's just real hard to shake it. And every decision you make is not really clear headed. And you don't want to do that when you're trading, which is the reason why I mentioned all that stuff before. And I know some of you have things that you would never talk to me about or even mention on social media, and you're hiding it. It's in your closet. These things that made mistakes in your life. And those are the very things that you're going to allow, if you're not careful, to derail you, mess you up, not be profitable, wreck your account, pursue stuff emotionally instead of following a model. That's an unfolding truth. That's something that happens. It ain't just well, it only happens to me or only happens to you. That's what happens to everybody. In those circumstances, that's always the outcome. But you feel like you're the exception. You're not going to be the person that happens to, when you're probably going to be the centerfold, the perfect example of that. By definition, if we looked it up, you would be in the case study that makes the perfect example of explaining this is what you should not do. That's how it typically ends up. But you don't feel like you're going to be the statistic. You feel like you're going to be exempt from it because it's you and you're different. And then when you go into the marketplace and you recklessly plow into it, hoping to get some kind of resolve or distraction by winning, knowing full well that win wasn't really a byproduct of your model. It's just because you impulsively gambled. No different from pushing a button on a slot machine at the casino or laying down some chips at the roulette table. That's a gamble. So you don't want to do those things. You want to see what I'm doing, teaching you how to see it, read it, be bored by it, and then, like a business, when people are running a business, they're not hopping around, all excited because they're conducting business today. They're not doing that. They're very methodically doing the same thing that's boring to them. You do this, you do that, you stay organized, you do your books, you pay your taxes, and this is the end of the year, and you can carve out a salary. It's boring. That's how you want your trading. You want your trading just like that. It's not going to cause you sleepless nights. It's not going to be something that you have to stress over. It's a business. You know what you're looking for. You know how to anticipate these things repeating, and you know when you're going to engage and take on the risk. You're not allowing your personal life. You're not allowing the things that would make you feel insignificant or inferior, or you need a bump in your feel good dopamine. You're not going to try to get that through your trading. You're trading and pushing the button because there's something that your model says that this is a high probability, low risk opportunity, and you're going to engage it and you're going to manage it until it's over. And when it's done, you close the charts and you turn it off and you walk away and you go to the next session or the next trading day. Repeat. That's discipline. That's running it like a business. And you're fortifying it and protecting it from any outside stimuli. No reason to try to replace a bad feeling away from trading. Trading is an island of itself. You don't let any of your personal stuff into that. You don't let other people in your relationships into your trading. You don't invite their analysis. You don't invite their opinion of what you've done. Your results are yours. Your spouse sees it at the end of the year. That's the best way of doing it. The best way. But isn't it hiding it from your spouse? No, you just tell them, I'm running a business. At the end of the year, I'm hopefully going to show you what I was able to do with this. If I show you every day or every week, your response to what I think is either good or not so bad, I may see this response that you give me, and it may affect me adversely. And then every trade I take will have that same impact of regret or remorse because I have shown you something that maybe didn't live up to your expectation, but you're not trading. You're just my partner. You're my spouse. You're my life partner. So you don't invite them into that. Be honest and say, I'm running this. This is what I'm doing, but you keep them out of it because two minds in this is toxic. You're never, ever, ever, you're never going to be able to be comfortable with that. When you do well, if you show your spouse and they don't feel the same, excitement of what you were able to accomplish, what are you going to feel? Wow, they didn't see it like I did. They don't appreciate me. You know how much effort it took for me to do this and how hard it was? They're never going to understand it, so don't tell them. At the end of the year, there's your results. There it is. At the end of next year, I'll show you my results again and we'll pay taxes on it and we get to live off the fat. There it is. That's the best way to do it. You're not hiding it. You're just saying, look, I don't want to have any mental baggage. I don't want you to influence me. I don't want you to make me feel like I got to do better. And I don't want you to feel like I didn't do good enough. And if you're honest with your partner, wife, husband, whatever it is that you're with, if you're honest with them like that, that's the best way to ring in what you're doing as a trader. You're honest with them. You're going to confide in them when it's time to pay the taxes. Say, here, I'm going to show you what I was able to do. You're not hiding it from them, but you're being honest because it's a very psychological impact when you let someone else that you love give them their opinion about or report card. In a lot of ways, I'm thankful that my wife is just like, well, you know, it's a video game. All of you people play video games. That's all it is. Okay, wonderful. Great. That's easy. It's disarming. I ain't got to worry about it. And frankly, you know, when I do something right in this, as a woman that's not really interested in it, she's never going to see this like you would see it or I would see it. Well, yeah, that was really precise. Look at that. That was very little drawdown. Look how fast it went down. Like we can appreciate that. My wife, not so much. So if you know that that's likely in your personal relationships, don't invite it. That's not bad. It's not hiding it and being surreptitious. It's better. It's better for you not to invite the adversities that can come into it because they're not going to make you take a trade because you told them unless they tell you, oh, well, I'm not really interested in that. Or not saying that, but the expression on their face when you show them your result and they're not impressed. Believe me, a man, we know what that looks like. We know what that looks like when you ladies say, oh, that's nice. That means, oh, I really don't give a shit. What are you showing me that for? I don't care about that. But they're being polite by saying, oh, that's nice. We can read that in our ladies or women. We can see that in them. But what you don't realize is, and men, you probably maybe not haven't spent that many hours thinking about how you're going to do this when you finally get with someone, if you're single, but you didn't account for how that's going to impact you. And then when you take your next trade and it is approaching your stop loss, you're thinking, man, if she really wasn't all that impressed when I had that win, which I felt was great, and she asked me how I did today, or she reads it on my face that I took a stop and I'm drawdown, I'm going to feel really worse. Let me just get in here and fix this right now. Right there, you just opened up the opportunity for you to do what? Wreck your account. Who's trading the account now? Retail Rick, the gambler. The gambler's in control. You slip seated with Retail Rick. And the analyst is left home, and shotgun is the trader at the mercy of wherever Retail Rick steers the car. Because now you've invited someone else to call the shots about your trade and how you feel about it and how you're going to react to the adverse results. And in that aspect, you're going to take that whole emotional stimuli and direct your next series of trades, not because you're following the model, not because you're doing the right thing with your trading model and risk management. Now you're trading for a outward response to something that probably isn't really going on, but in your head it is. You're afraid that you're not going to be able to present with details and results to your spouse when they ask. And they might not ask, but you're afraid they're going to now. And you're going to wear it on your face, and they're going to ask you now, what's wrong? What did you do? Well, you know your wife, you know your husband, they know you, they know what you did, you know, they know you're troubled, and you don't want to lie to them because that compounds it. Then you have to tell them what you don't want to tell them. I was thinking about what I showed you the other day, which I felt really good about, and you didn't really show any kind of interest in it, and you kind of like dismissed it as it really wasn't that big of a deal. So now today, when I was trading, I didn't do as well as I should have, and then I tried to fix it, and then I created more problems because I didn't want to have this conversation that I'm having with you right now. And now I want to go back in there and over leverage everything and just go full fucking forward, just go in and risk it all because now I'm just angry about everything. How about that? I've done that before. I've done that before. And unfortunately, it causes a great deal of animosity, not for the spouse, but for you as the trader, because you know you let yourself become unraveled. And it's so easy to see the very moments where you could have took control and said, no, but you don't. Why is that? Because you're allowing the emotions, the things that are external to your trading, you're making that the driving factor in your decisions on when and how you're going to trade. And that is what causes you to blow up. You're trying to invite other people to run your business. Your spouse is your spouse. They're not your CEO. They're not your boss. This is your trading business. Unless they're trading the account with you, they're not employee. They're not boss. They're not co-partner. They're outside of the company. Period. They're no different than your wife being your wife, your husband being your husband, and the company you work for right now. They have no place in that company. They can't go there, have a say in how the business is ran. In the same way with your trading, that's how it's got to be. That's how it has to be. And some of you think, well, I'm going to start this with my partner, with my spouse, and we're going to do this. And we're going to do. I mean, I'm telling you, unless you are the freaking extreme exemption, which I can't even imagine where that even exists, because two minds about money are rarely ever on the same page. If you look at where divorce is, usually, what's the catalyst for divorce? It's number one, infidelity. And why is infidelity? Because you're not happy in the house. Somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or somebody's doing extra that they shouldn't be doing. And the other reason why there's divorce is it's money. So right away, you're inviting an issue that would probably never be a factor if you just listened to me and said, listen, we're going to run a business in trading. I'm the CEO. I'm the chief executive officer. I am the president of the company. I am the sole proprietor. I'm Mr. Everything, or I'm Mrs. Everything, in deference to the ladies that want to do it. But at the end of the year, we'll discuss what was done. And then we'll, at that time, discuss how we will spend the proceeds. That's where you invite the spouse back into the conversation. That's just the way it is. But during the business operations, she's not invited and he's not invited to the board meetings. You're not a board member. And that's how you manage it. That's how you keep the marriage safe. That's how you keep the relationship safe. That's how you keep the emotions and the weight of the opinion of your loved one. Because as men, we can say, oh, well, I don't give a shit about what my wife thinks. She don't know nothing. Let me tell you something. If my wife told me I had a trade that I felt good about and I showed it to her and she said, that's really not all that big of a deal, that would feel like a kick in the nuts to me, because her opinion about me and whatever I do means something to me. So I'd never invite that. I just, peacock around. I don't talk about it. I just let her know that I did it, and she rolls her eyes and whatever. But that's how I manage it. I don't sit down and ask for her opinion because she doesn't give a shit. So I never invite her to the board meetings. You may not like this approach. If you have something better, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. But I've been around the block enough times and met with so many people that have tried this with their relationships, and it has not been good. It's not been good at all. And if you are going to be a husband and wife team, one of you have to be the CEO, and the other person is there just for moral support. That's the only other alternative, because two minds looking at this, they're not generally going to agree. I see an opportunity here. I don't know about that. What do you think about this? Oh, shit. There you go. You have a divided mind. Two minds risking the same capital that have a relationship, a family, a household to manage as well. I promise you, the male will bring in problems to that structure. It may not be visible in the beginning, but it will manifest itself because we're wired to be like that. We're the caveman. We do these things. And we are more willing to take risks that the women aren't. Women are nesters. They know that they have to take care of shit when it's time to take care of shit. Men, I'll get around to it whenever you get down to it. If I don't want to do it right now, I ain't got to do it. Don't tell me how to do my weekend, woman. I'm going to do what I want to do, how I want to do it. And then she puts her foot down and says, this is the way you're going to do it. And there's a fight. And then he ultimately listens and has it done. But you can't have that in trading. Somebody has to know that they're the one that is making the decisions. And the other one is subordinate to that, whether it be the male or the female, the husband or the wife, doesn't matter. But one of them is the chief executive officer, the president of the company, everything, the CEO. You're the one And the other one does everything to allow that partner to succeed. Cheerlead them on. Don't place any more stress on them that needs to be. Let them talk to them when they want to talk about it and be encouraging all the time. And ladies, if you're listening, I can tell you as a male, that's how you encourage your husband. That's how you keep him doing it for the right reasons. You let him do it. You give him space, but you encourage him and you don't pry. So what did you do today? Let him tell you. Trust me, if he's done well, you're going to know all about it. And if he doesn't want to talk to you about it, chances are he's probably in drawdown. He's going through something. Let him talk to you when he's wanting to talk to you. Because if you start asking questions, it's going to make that even worse. And he's going to go right back to his computer. He's going to go right back to his account, and he's going to try to fix it so that way he doesn't have to feel uncomfortable in front of you in your eyes. Gentlemen, give me an amen if you know what I'm talking about and you've been there. Because that's exactly how we wreck ourselves through our family, through our relationships, even if the relationship is healthy. That's how it sneaks in. That's exactly how it creeps in and overtakes you. Because you don't want to look like a failure in the eyes of your loved one. That's your life partner. You chose to be with that person for life, maybe brought children into the world. And you don't want to look like you don't care enough about your finances or why you're doing it. When it's normally just, that's a loss. It's drawdown, big deal. And if he tells you, hey, I took a loss today, it's okay, honey. You'll get it back. You don't need to rush to get it back either. You'll be fine. Easy. Encourage, say little, let him do most of the talking. If he doesn't want to talk, leave it just like that. And you will not inspire him to feel like he has to fix it. And just go about your business. Run your household the way you normally would do. Because if you give this gentleman any more reason to feel like he has to put out a fire when there ain't one, he'll start one. And then everything unravels very quickly. And many times I've had students that, because they short circuited and lost the money that they had invested, then problems started between them because of the animosity of the husband lost control. The spouse did not support him as he would wanted to see her support him. And he used that as an excuse to go in there and be reckless, and then held a grudge against her for being upset that he was reckless and lost their money. And then they're divorced. So it's much, much more than blowing your account or losing your funded account if you are married. If you're going into this with two minds, the other person in that relationship is not a board member. And they have to understand that they're not a board member. You're benefiting by the proceeds and gain that this company presents at the end of the year, but you're outside of it. And you're a cheerleader for the one that's running it. You don't get in the way. You don't try to say what we're going to spend the money on while you're still earning it throughout the year. You earn it for the year, and then you sit down as a partnership in the marriage. Because now you've taken income out of it. How are you going to spend it? Then you sit down and say, now you're a board member of the marriage. How do we spend this money and both be happy about it? That's how you manage this. That's how you do it. If you have children, I'll say this and I'm going to end it. If you have children that are under 17, you can pay them each year and they don't have to have any income taxes taken from that. You have to start an LLC to do that. I recommend an S Corp, but you talk to your accountant and find out. If you're in the States, it's S Corp. But if you have adult children, you can set up a family management LLC where you can pay them basically a gift each year, and you pay it through the LLC, and they don't have to pay taxes on that income. And you let your accountant tell you all this stuff, but it will allow you to transfer money into them, into their hands, and they don't have to pay taxes on all that stuff. And they can also write off expenses against that, but you have to let your accountant tell you all that. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a tax preparation person. I'm just telling you, you go talk to someone that can tell you do all those things. But there's so many things you can do once you set this up as a business and it's profitable. Like you can do a lot of things that you as an employee at the job you're working right now, you don't have any advantages to that. Like your health benefits. I don't personally have health insurance because it's too exorbitant. Even though I have lots of money, I refuse to pay the Obamacare bullshit that they put in place. I'll pay for whatever I got to pay for when I get sick. I don't give a shit. I ain't worried about it. I ain't paying deductibles that, or not deductibles. I ain't paying all these high premiums for something I'm not needing to spend money on. But eventually, because I'm now 50, I have to now start thinking about that because, what happens if I fall, ill to something, like um, multiple sclerosis is in my family, diabetes is in my family, heart disease and cancer is in my family. God forbid in Jesus' name I have any of that stuff. I'm healthy. I don't have anything wrong with me per se. Um, but any time in these years right now, that can change. Something can happen, and boom, I find out I have something that's I have to contend with, and it would be a high expense issue. Well, if you were working at your job, you have to have health insurance and you pay for that through deductions in your weekly paycheck or biweekly, whatever you get paid. When you set up your LLC and you're making money, you can write off your expenses for health insurance. And everything you spend is a write off on that. Your expenses for your cell phone, your automobile, insurance, gas, all those things. And if you make yourself someone online, like an influencer where you're seeing its image, a portion of your clothing and things like that, all of your travel writes off, hotel stays and travel expenses. As long as you talk about or do business, during the time while you're there, if you're working on vacation, that's permissible. And 50% of the things that you spend on restaurant and food is a write-off. But you don't have that as an employee. Like you don't have that benefit as an employee, which makes working for someone else stupid. So if you have this skill set, you learn how to do this and you're able to make money, un- unless you're just foolish with money and you don't want to do the right things, you need to incorporate yourself. And if you start making a lot of money, you want to get like umbrella policies that if you drive down the road, someone does the pull in front of you, hit the brakes, and then you rear-ended me. you know you want to get an umbrella policy that protects you from being sued for a lot of different shit. Okay, and they're not terribly expensive. I think like $2,800. You can get like $4.5 million, $5 million coverage from any kind of lawsuits or any kind of like that. It's done. It's handled. You ain't got to worry about it. Okay, and when you start building affluence and you have money, you have to protect yourself from that because there's ambulance chasers there out there all the time. All the time, they're always trying to get something from you. Okay, and you preserve your net worth by having these things in place because if you wear your wealth, people will see it and they'll try to take advantage of it and try to take it from you. And there's ways to prevent all that stuff. And I have lots of conversations I can talk to you about that as we go through the year, but I want you to change your way of thinking about a lot of things, your relationships, because that's going to be impactful to your trading. I want you to think about how you run your work life and how you spend your money, what you spend your money on. All those things are factors on what's going to cause you to be impulsive about trading. If you manage your finances correctly, if you do the right things with your money, you won't be so quick to be impulsive about pressing the button to get a feel good moment, because you'll be in a better position mentally because you have all your finances in the right place, all of the insurances in place, the protections, all the things that would cause the average person to be scared and always stressing out. Like, I'm not worried about any of that shit. I'm not worried about nothing. Okay. I know, I know any given day something bad can happen, but I don't live my life worrying about that. I'm not going to go into the market to make myself feel good when it does. I don't give a shit. I'm not worried about that stuff. But you, as someone that's now starting how to do all this stuff, if you start falling into success, you don't have that yet because you're going to be new money. And new money isn't generally organized, it's not prepared. Um, you are more interested in clout and showing up and showing out. And there's things that you should be doing to fortify yourself, protect yourself from other people trying to take what you have and victimizing you. So you want to be able to change your perspective on what it is you do in your personal life, your management of your marriage, your relationships, and allow this not to be a factor for impulsiveness or allowing that relationship to be toxic. And then because of that toxic relationship, staying with people you know you shouldn't be with. Are you in an abusive relationship? It can be on both sides, physically or emotionally. If you know that's not working, unfortunately, sometimes you can't fix it. And if you're trying to reside with someone like that, that is toxic. And you're going to be more inclined to do things impulsively to give yourself a distraction. Or if I can just make a little bit of money today, it'll remind me that this is the right thing to do and I won't be here long because I'm making money. You're doing something outside your model. You're letting something other than your model tell you when to press the button. And that is going to invite failure. You're going to blow your account. You're going to wreck yourself. All these things compound. And you don't think about it when you first start getting into this because you think, oh, it's just trading. It's just pushing a button. It's so easy. It's up or down. Trading's easy. Trading's easy. But you're listening to people that aren't making money. You're listening to people that are trying to be influencers and managing clout, social media engagement. And I'm not that kind of person. I'm telling you how to run your life like a corporation, run your life like a business, and run your trading like a business. All these things have to be in balance: your personal life, your work life, and your financial decision making and your trading. That all has to be 100% moving in the same direction, not over here doing its own thing and over here doing it. And you're not letting anybody, even in your personal relationships, have a place in the decision making. Because if you do that, you're not in control. You will be impulsive. You will be reckless. You will be reacting emotionally to the stimuli that those relationships present. Everybody has a day where your spouse and you just you're not doing things that would promote a calm environment, an argument of some kind, a disagreement. Everybody has that. Everybody has that. But it's typical for a man to take that out in the marketplace. If you're a trader, you get in an argument with your spouse, like generally our disagreements are my daughter, our daughter. Okay, her daughter biologically, but mine by marriage. But I raised her, so she's my daughter. And I want to see her do things, but I also know my place. But sometimes I say more than I should, and I say, this is what she should be doing, and I don't like the fact that you don't try to convince her that this is a problem for what she's doing and she shouldn't be doing that. And then she corrects me and says, no, I'm not going to do that. And I know without her saying so, it's not my place to say any more about it. And it's the truth. It's I'm not biologically her father, and she's an adult. She's her own person, but I'm also the guy that bails her out. So I have a little bit of a horse in the race here. So I kind of like want to defend myself as much as I can, but I also know my place. I don't want to be too overbearing with it, and then that's usually the source of our arguments. Okay, and when it happens, I'm frustrated because I know I can't breach that barrier that I'm not biologically her dad, even though she looks at me like dad and she respects me more than her biological father. I never press harder. So that stress is a real factor for me. But I don't go into the marketplace and say, I'm pissed off at my wife. I'm disappointed that my daughter's not doing what I told her to do. So I need to feel good about something. Let me go in there and over leverage the British pound because I need to distract myself. No, I don't do that. I don't do that at all. But what I do is I go into PlayStation and I play a particular round in Splinter Cell where I kill all the Russians okay? And I take it all out on them. And that's what I do. I go right there. I play that one round and I do it one time. It takes me 20 minutes and I feel good and it's done. That's my coping mechanism. If I don't have that, I probably would have gone into the marketplace. So you have to have some kind of hobby outside of trading so you can channel your energy, whether it be positive or negative energy. It might be the gym. It might be working out. It might be martial arts. It might be playing music or a musician, some kind of instrument or something. It may be art. Whatever it is, you need to have something outside of trading. So that way you can channel your energy and say, okay, I'm investing my time in trading. I'm investing my time in speculating. But once I'm done that, disconnect. Go do something outside of that. Reading, some kind of club, hunt, whatever. I don't know, whatever it is for you. Like that guy Pat, he surfs. That's cool. I like looking at that. To me, I'm waiting for a fucking shark to come up out there and grab his ass up one time. I hope it doesn't happen, Pat. But I'm just expecting that shit all the time when I see people surf. I'm not gonna do that. I love it, but I'm not gonna do it. But you have to have a hobby. Somebody has to, you know, be able to draw your attention away from the markets and you not feel like you're going to suffocate because you don't have your lifeline connected to the marketplace. And I had a long period of my time as a younger man where everything was that. There was this umbilical cord, this oxygen, you know, like a scuba diver. Like it was my air supply. I had to constantly have my quote trek. I had to constantly be talking about the marketplace. I had to constantly be able to see it. If I was visiting other people and I didn't have my quote trek with me, I would ask them, hey, can I turn on your cable network and see what the financial news network said, which is CNBC now, but that I had to see what the ticker tape said. Every 10, 11 minutes, it would go about, I would say, okay, here's S&P, here's bonds, here's whatever market I'm looking at. That's not normal. I never had a chance to unplug. You have to schedule that. You need to do that in the beginning. So that way it keeps balance in your life. And it won't be like it was for me, where it was everything this. Relationships suffered, children relationships suffered, everything, my personal health, my fitness, everything, everything was second to this. The markets were my God. It was my religion. It was my everything. And I was offended that other people didn't respect it like I had respect for it. And I was offended with my own family members when they asked me to spend less time with it and spend more time with them. That's not normal. That's not balanced. And that is not proper for a household or a family to run efficiently and everyone feel like they're doing their part. And unless you schedule it in the beginning and you run your life and your trading business like that in the beginning, it's real easy to get obsessive with it. Even if you're not an obsessive person, when you start making money, it changes you and you want more of it, especially if you never came from money. It makes you feel like that's your whole purpose, and that's who you are. And without that, you're nothing, when that's not true, which is the reason why you have to have something outside of trading, outside of your marriage too. You have to have some kind of outlet that is not trading. And whatever that is, you need to make sure that you're doing that away from the marketplace and not thinking about, I got to get back to charts. I got to get back to trading. If you're carrying your phone around while you're doing that other thing, or you're out with your spouse or significant other, and you're constantly looking at your phone, what's trading view? What's the market saying right now? That's not healthy. That's not healthy. And that's how it started with me. And all of a sudden, it'll overtake every moment of your life. And you're a slave to it versus mastering it. You want to be the master of it. You're the CEO. You are Mr. Everything, Mrs. Everything. You're the corporation. You run the show. You call the schedule. When are you working? When you're not going to work. But if you let the money become your master, you're going to slave for it all the time. And you're not going to be happy no matter how much you make. It won't be enough. It won't ever be enough. No matter how much money you make, when you fall victim to it like that, you are never satisfied. You never feel a sense of accomplishment. And you always feel like it's not enough. And you want to do what? Pour money, pour money, pour money into the marketplace. Why? Because that's the report card. And when you make it and you get profits, it's not enough. So what are you going to do? More of it, which means your family's going to suffer. They're going to see less of you. And I was a ghost in my own home for years. They seen me. Yep, I'll talk to you in a couple of minutes. That's a lie. Hours later, I'm still in there looking at shit, trading this and trading that. I'm done. I come out, everybody's sleeping. And I walk through their house and I would watch them sleep. That's a lonely feeling when I would repeat that over and over and over again. And I would tell myself out loud, I can't do this. Like, I got to stop trading and focus on them. I got to spend more time with them. And I could literally see them growing up, laying in their bed, faces changing, becoming, teenagers, and reminding myself, I've said this so many times, but my obsessive compulsive disorder fed into, I got to keep doing that. And you don't realize it, but you lose time. A couple months becomes a year, and a year becomes several. And all of a sudden, now they're adults. And you can't call that time back. You missed it. You wasted it. You blew it. And that's one of the things I hope that you listen to me with, because I know I can make you successful. That's a given. I know I can, but you have to give yourself permission and the time to get there. But the ones that will do it, they'll still mess up by doing the things that I did, because you get too ingrained with trying to make more when it's enough. What is enough? You have to determine that for yourself. But whatever that is, once you hit it, you stop. Then you spend time with your family. Do something outside of the marketplace, your hobby, whatever. Have a life. If not, I promise you, you'll be like these weirdos that's online that are constantly on social media. They're not with their own families. They're talking shit about everybody else. They ain't even proven they're profitable. They're going to sue everybody. You don't want to be that. Okay. That's not what you want to be. You want to be happy. You want to be able to be uplifting to not only yourself, but other people that know you and your family members. And you want to be successful. That's living. That's the purpose of living, is to help other people be fruitful in their life, and you be a catalyst to help them do that. That's why we're here. That's exactly why we're here. We're not here to shit on another person, tell them that they're not good enough or not as good as you are. Run around telling everybody, you're better than them, have more money than accounts and bullshit. That's dumb. And people that really have money, they don't go around doing that. That's somebody that doesn't have money. And when you're young, you think you want to go out there and do that and flex on everybody. And nobody will care when you do it. They'll have less respect for you when you try to do that stuff. So don't even start. Don't even start it. Keep your mind on running your own business and mind your own damn business. Don't worry about anybody else. Whatever happens, happens. Always be in a position where you're prepared as best as you can and have a game plan and stick to it. And in my opinion, everything I've talked about tonight is how I teach my children. Like, these are the life lessons I learned. These are the things that I learned to get myself prepared for balancing my marriage when I wasn't balancing it well. Um, I'm thankful that I'm aware of it now. I wish I was more aware of it earlier. Like, I wish I would have been more aware of it 26 years ago. But 26 years went by like that. And it's very much a source of regret for me. Despite being successful, despite being where I am, I'm not happy with the way I put my family aside to do everything that I did to be where I'm at now. Because it's hard. It's hard to articulate what it feels like when you can't be satisfied as a young man wanting something you can't have, which is the acceptance and approval of a loved one that they are gone. So you have to do what? You replace it with something you attribute to equal or more value. And that was image, that was money, that was me becoming inner circle trader, that was me being, who you know me as. And listening to people and transforming people's lives, like I've been so blessed and fortunate to be able to do, is the only source of worth for having done it the way I did, by not spending the time with my wife and my children like I should have. It's not hard to understand how much time I spent away from them, even in the same house. Look how much I'm still talking to you right now. I don't owe you a damn thing. But my heart and my spirit feels like I want to pour out into all of you all the time. You're not talking to me. I don't hear you. But I know you're listening. I know that you're hearing me. And I know that most times I'm hitting the right buttons because I lived all this stuff. I've went through it. And hearing the stories of people, finding success with it, seeing their faces lighting up when they're talking about it, like, that is healing for me. Because I punish myself every day for not being the father I should have been and not the husband that I should have been. Mr. ICT, yes, I know, that's me. But what about dad? Well, I failed there. What about husband? I fell short there. So when I see people share their testimony, not only is it comforting for me and it heals me, it gives me a reason to feel like it wasn't a total waste pursuing it, because money's money, but having an impact on other people's lives, that's something you can't put a price tag on. And seeing the transformation in some of you, like you see just the interviews that I've been putting up, and I have more of them coming. But I have people that reach out to me all the time, and so many of them don't want to do the interview. Like they don't want to show their face. They don't want to be in a position where other people can criticize them, ask them questions, and pry into what they do and what they don't do, and why they didn't do this, and why did they choose this direction. And I can respect that. There's a lot of people that are in my private mentorship that are, they all talk openly. They're able to talk to one another, and they'll say, I don't want to do interviews, but they share their testimony openly in our community. And there's a lot of people that I've trained I've never seen the face of. I've never heard their voice. And when I have the opportunity to see and hear my students, and I get emotional about that, because if I was to open up this right now and start talking to someone, whoever would be asking, and I'm not asking you to ask to talk to them because I'm not going to talk to you tonight. I will as we go further through the year. But it's not the same. Like it's not the same as seeing them face to face and then watching them describe what it was like while they learned this, and their view of me as their teacher, as someone that, poured themselves into them, and watching them explain what it's like for themselves right now. And they're smiling, they're wearing their joy. Like that is such an emotional thing for me. I love it. I feel refreshed when I see that. I mean, look, it's one thing when you know it works, it's wonderful. But when you see someone's life completely changed for the better, and they feel confident that they're going to be able to do this going forward, they know what they're doing, and nobody can take it away from them. They can talk all the shit they want about it. They don't care, because they're successful now. They know how to ride that bike. And when you learn how to ride a bike, you don't forget it. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me to really nail down real people. For a long time, all I saw was usernames, FX, M21, whatever the fuck it was. And so many people were in that mentorship. And that's all I knew. A number, that was all it was. And the reason why I did that is because everybody was asking for the same username, and it was already taken. And they were like, well, what about this? And what about? I was like, man, fuck this. I'm just gonna. Here's your username. Here it is. That's it. And then it was also a watermark for people that were leaking it. So anyway, I can keep on going, but I've said enough tonight. I said I was going to stop talking a little while ago, but I just want you to know that there's a right way to do this, and there's a right way to start doing it, but you can deviate and make all kinds of mistakes that you won't recognize until it's too late, and you lose time with your family and loved ones. You develop toxic habits, impulsive gambling. All those things can creep in without you realizing until it's too late. And you have to be very diligent in the beginning on how you're going to proceed, how you're going to manage yourself, who are you going to allow to influence you. That's a big one. Man, that's a big one. And you don't really think about it. And you probably didn't think about it like I've talked about it tonight until now. Now you have something to consider going into the weekend. Maybe you have to make some changes and some adjustments in your personal relationships, and maybe your marriage, and say, hey, look, um, Michael was talking about this tonight, and I want to be honest and let you know that I want to succeed. And are you comfortable with me doing this? And we only look at the end result at the end of the year, and that way I don't feel the pressure that you might be placing on me. Not that you're trying to do it, and not that I should be worrying about it, but when you cancel any opportunity for that, it allows you to be objective. And you need to be very objective about what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it with your model. If you don't do those things in the beginning, it's real hard to muster the discipline to start doing it later on, because you get set in your ways. You're not going to be consistent. It needs to be in there in the beginning. And right now, you're just now learning how to read price. You're seeing how nice it is to be able to know what it's going to do. And think about that. That's absurd to be able to say something like that. We know what the market's most likely going to do. That's arrogant, isn't it? That's preposterous. How can anyone say that and mean it? And yet you see us doing it. Isn't that fun? Isn't that amazing? Think about it. All these big conglomerates, these banking institutions, these financial firms, Wall Street, they're all doing battle, worrying about the fluctuations of these markets. And here we are sitting down every day, measuring to the tick what they're going to do, when they're going to do it. Think about yourself for a second. You're just like me, an average Joe from wherever, small town USA. And we're literally doing what the Goldman Sachs boys, the UBS boys don't know. Think about that. They're the movers and shakers in the industry, and it's noise to them. I don't know if that gets my rocks off. I love it. I love it. And I love sharing it. I love seeing everyone's excitement when they see it unfold. And it's just hugely motivating, because otherwise I'm not really impressed by it. I mean, you see it so many times for so many years. It's just like, oh, whatever. And I fall in love with it all over again, because I get to live vicariously through all of you when you have that epiphany, that moment of astonishment where the veil's pulled back and you see it for the first time. I remember what that felt like. And I get to relive it every single time a student says, holy shit, I can see that. And there it is, it's done. And I get the smile, my face aches because I'm reliving that moment all over again. And I don't feel 50 anymore. I feel 20. And it places me just like a time machine right back in that moment. And it's fun. It's just really such a blessing to have so many of you having that experience and sharing it with me and sharing it with everyone else. It's a motivation that, you know, I never really thought too much about it. Didn't feel a need for it because I was really working too hard to keep this shit going and teaching. But more people over the years asked for it. It's like, hey, look, can you create a way for us to talk to you and tell you what our story's like? And I was like, yeah, well, whatever. I didn't have time for it really. Making lessons for mentorship and managing different user groups and kicking people out that were fucking leaking it. It's too much stress. Now, like I promised, once I got done with that part of it, I would be able to return back to a little bit more relaxed approach to teaching. And I'm really enjoying it. Like I love teaching it. I love sharing it. I love showing it live because it's nothing better than it. And when you all get a chance to see it and handle it for free, it's disarming, isn't it? Like you didn't cost anything. You just show up and see, does this person really know what the fuck he's talking about? And then when you watch it, it's like, whoa, wow. And you start seeing my other students doing really well. I mean, think about it. What's $100,000 to you? What's $200,000? What's $300,000 to you? Maybe when you first started messing around with this stuff, you didn't think about those numbers. You were thinking, well, if I could just make $1,000 a week or a couple times a month, make 200, not 200, but like $2,500 or so. That'd be awesome. Get me my payout. Try to make my ends meet, get my ends up. Now you're hearing and seeing students throwing big league numbers around. All from a guy teaching with demo. It's interesting, isn't it? But anyway, I'm gonna get off here and go see my wife before she falls asleep, and then I'll have to hear about it tomorrow if I don't. You said you was only going to be down there for an hour and a half. Let me see what time it is. I started at 7 o'clock. It's freaking 4 hours. How about that? Like this is the typical ICT Twitter. 4 hours. I don't usually do this. They're still listening to me. I don't know how to do that, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. It just seems like there's a bunch of you still here. So, but hopefully you got something out of this tonight. I hope you had some fun hanging out with me. This is going to be obviously the Saturday shotgun. I've done it all on one clip here. I know I say I don't plan on doing anything tomorrow, and I'm quite certain I won't be on social media. So don't look for any kind of tweets from me because I'm going to be working with my son in private and such because I have to make sure he stays motivated because today was a little bit harder than it needed to be for him, I think. But enjoy your weekend, study, and we'll be back at it again, Lord willing, on Monday. Until I talk to you then, be safe.